Welcome to the Permission Slip podcast, where I, empowerment coach, mindset expert, and holistic nutritionist Carmen Oling, share with you the tools, conversations, and resources you need to write your own permission slip, take massive action, and become obsessed with your own life. Let's get started. Wow. You all blew me away last week with your feedback and comments on last week's episode. So that would have been episode 81, the 3 things I used to never do, which if you haven't listened to that one, be sure to go back after this one or maybe even before this one and give it a listen. We talked about asking, crying, and being the one. And if you listen, you know what I'm talking about. And one of the biggest things I talked about in there was attending in-person events. And I got a number of questions on this topic. And so today, what I want to do is really pull back the curtain on my experience, years of experience of attending in-person events, going from being so freaking nervous and planning so many things, where to go, what to do, what outfits to wear, what am I going to do here, what am I going to do here, and like controlling all the things, to being so excited to come to events. Sometimes I forget to bring certain things and just being open and willing and available to what is going to happen during the experience. Also, as an event host myself, so my signature retreat, the Permission Slip Retreat, is in its, wow, how many years has it been? 5th year? And the next one, if you haven't been, so much magic. If you can think about it being like an empowerment event where you have some workshop time and you're learning things and you're connecting, but it's also a girls' trip, a self-care trip, a free time trip, experience trip. I get curious because I curate like a full experience. It's not just sitting at a hotel in a conference room. Well, we have some time where we're sitting and doing that. It's experiencing things with each other, with ourselves. And it is just so fun. So anyway, I digress. That's going to be in Tulum. I'm only doing one this year, and we are going to blow the doors off of it. Well, in Tulum, it's a lot of open air, so there's not very many doors, but you can find all the information on my website at carmenoling.com, but I'd love to see you there. So anyway, pulling back the curtain on me attending retreats and hosting retreats so you can stop letting fear hold you back. So as I shared last week, one of the number one things that I would do when I realized, okay, I really need to get out of this, like this treadmill of life, this mundane, same, comfortable, yet really unfulfilling and uncomfortable way I was living, was forcing myself to go to in-person events 2 a year. And my intention was always to make 2 new connections at each retreat. But thinking about it, what stopped me was similar to the questions that you're asking and similar to the questions that I get in regards to like my permission slip retreat, is like, what's going to happen? What can I expect? How many people are going to be there? What are we going to be doing? What about la, 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 la? So all of those questions are really based out of fear. And how do I know this? Because I was stuck in fear for a long time. I would only say yes to things that I knew I could be good at. And I wouldn't push myself to get uncomfortable and get curious and get challenged enough to really get great at something or to fully experience life. And so fear is stopping most of us from doing pretty much everything that we want to be doing in our lives, or the calling that's on our heart, or maybe we're just ignoring signs from the universe, right? So fear holds us back. And so pulling back the curtain today, I just want to share with you on what you can expect and some tips on what you can do individually to make sure you get your money's worth, because this is an investment. You're investing in yourself, and an investment in yourself is the number one thing that you can do. But if you go there and you're really closed off and you're not open and you're not intentional, you're not going to get the most out of it. So let's start by talking about, what does like a typical agenda look like and what can you expect? So a typical agenda, all in-person events are different and all retreats and experiences are different. So like I shared with my retreat, we have a mixture of everything. So we start the day with an opportunity to move our bodies together. It's optional. Most people come and do it. And it might be a yoga practice. It might be a HIIT workout for our glutes. It might be whatever, like something like that. And we're moving our bodies, because I know when we move energy at the beginning of the day, we're going to start off the day feeling good. And isn't that what going to one of these events or retreats is all about? Feeling good. And then we have time to have breakfast and have some downtime, free time. My goal always at my retreats is you never, ever have to rush. You have plenty of transition time in between the different activities. And then we get started and we have a workshop for about 2 or 3 hours. And that consists of me speaking and teaching, other amazing, influential humans coming and teaching us on a variety of topics, from health to mindset, to well-being, to business, to lifestyle, to relationships, to boundaries, all the things. And then we have a delicious lunch that is totally like just lifts you up. It's nothing too heavy. And then free time. We often have free time every day where you can connect with other women, connect with yourselves, connect with nature. This is for you. And then we have an experience, an adventure. We do lots and lots of adventuring at my retreats. And then time for a dinner in the evening. And we have similar things like that every day, where we're learning, we're adventuring, we're exploring, we're having free time, and we're connecting with ourselves, with each other, and with nature. So that's what happens at my retreat as like the agenda goes. But at a lot of other type of events or in-person events, those might look a little bit different. And so the majority of the in-person events that I have attended have had a format with like a main stage, like speaker, and then also some breakout sessions. So what that might look like is you gather together in a big room with everybody that's attending the event, and you hear from the host and maybe some main speakers. And then you have an opportunity to go into other rooms that oftentimes you get to select the breakout rooms that you want to go to. And here's my tip with that is, don't go into the rooms that feel comfortable for you and something that you already know. Go into the rooms where you're like, oh, like this might make me uncomfortable. This might make me like think in a new way. This is something that I don't know anything about, but I've been telling myself I've been curious about. And so I want to go there. And so you go into those breakout rooms, and then eventually you'll end up back in the main room with everybody else. And you can expect participation too. This is not just these types of events that I'm talking about and that I'm going to: women's events, empowerment events, well-being events, even business events. Now, it's not just you sitting there and listening to a bunch of speakers. While that is a lot of it, there is interaction. You're interacting with the speakers. You're interacting with those around you. You have breakout groups where you're doing activities. And so you can actually use the skills and connect with other people. So that's what you can expect from some of these events and my event. And so that just like peels back the curtain a little bit, so you can know and you can plan, right? Because that takes the fear away a little bit when you have an idea. Now, let's shift gears into how to get the most from an in-person event. So 3 big things here. First one is being intentional. So before the event, I want you, the host usually shares some sort of an agenda. I want you to look at it, and I want you to have an intention for your time. As I shared with the events that I attend, I still have this intention to make a connection with a minimum, and I'm talking about a connection where I want to stay connected to them, where I would want to go on a trip with them, where I would want to visit them when I visit the city that they're in, where we stay connected via text message. Maybe we do Zoom calls together or FaceTime. Like, these are women that I want to stay connected to. So I make 2 new connections. Now, that doesn't mean we have to be talking every day, but I know I can reach out to them, and they know the same for me. And that has been really impactful for me by having that intention. And like I said, I still have it today. So maybe your intention is something as easy as, I'm never the one that raises my hand. My intention is to have courage and to raise my hand and to ask one question from the speaker when it's Q&A time. That would be huge. That would be a really big intention. You get to ask your question, which I want to tell you, no question is ever silly, because if you have the question, there's probably like hundreds of other people, or depending on how big the event is, maybe a few other people, if the event is smaller, that have that same question. And by you asking it, they're like, oh, thank you for asking that question. I've been wondering the same thing. And you get to be the one, right? And builds confidence. Okay, so have an intention for going into it, and then check in on yourself throughout the day on your intention to make sure you're fulfilling it and you're not like shrinking back down. So the next thing after intention is to go into it with a beginner's mindset. What does that mean? This is something that I still use to this day. Because I've had so many experiences in life with starting and selling businesses, with being in corporate leadership, with raising a family young, with having a relationship of almost 20 years, having different family dynamics, growing up in a home with divorced parents, having multiple sclerosis definition. It's kind of like what I felt like at first. It was defining me. Diagnosis when I was 25, and living with that and still thriving. Like, having a lot of different experiences, I often have the mindset of, I already know. And this is something that I have to check myself in a lot, because if you go into a room and someone's talking about a topic that you are knowledgeable in, it's very easy to shut your brain off and to not be engaged and to not really take in what they're saying. And I want you to hear this, because I'm repeating it for myself too, because I have a lot of in-person events coming up and mastermind events, is that there is always something here for you. There is always something here for me. I just have to be open and willing to receive it. So maybe they're talking on a mindset topic, and it is something that I say all the time, or I coach my clients on all the time. There's still something there for me. And I need to have a beginner's mindset and let go of the fact that I already know. So that pep talk was for me, but also for you. I want you to always remember that. Another way to look at that is just to really get curious. Get curious on what you can uncover and discover about the process, about what the speaker is saying, about other people attending the event with you, and even about yourself as well. So there's always something here for you. You just have to find it. And when you let go of, I already know, and open yourself up to see things differently, that's when the breakthrough happens. That's when you have so much self-discovery. So have a beginner's mindset, because guess what? It's okay not to know everything. It's okay to be a beginner at something. It's okay to fail at first, as long as you keep going. For years and years and years, I held myself back because I prided myself in always being good at everything that I did, because I wasn't pushing myself and challenging myself so I could be great at something. I was good at everything, but not great at any one thing. So have a beginner's mindset. The last thing is focus on engaged, intentional relationships. The first one starts with yourself, because you're not going to get anywhere if you're not checking in with yourself and having those breakthroughs and transformations that I just talked about when I talked about having a beginner's mindset. The next thing is I'm just having a way with words today, aren't I? The next thing is connecting with the other amazing individuals that are at the event, listening to them, learning from them, getting to know them. And here's the thing, you can have conversations with so many people, but there's just going to be those handful of people that you're intrigued by, that your energy and their energy are like just like so matching on the same wavelength, and you can just feel it. And you don't even have to know why you're connected to them, but lean into it. Start asking them more questions. Get them talking. These are the women, if you're at a women's event, or people, men, that you do want to be connected to, because they have that same high vibe flowing energy that you do. So you want to make the actual connections and be the first to ask for their phone number, to send them a text message, to follow them on Instagram, to send them a DM, to invite them for coffee before the event starts the next day. Put yourself out there, because if you don't do it, who's going to do it? Because guess what? They're probably feeling the exact same way as you are. So put yourself out there. Lastly, I want you to connect with the speakers. Connect with the speakers by asking questions. Connect with the speakers afterwards by thanking them and sharing a takeaway, something that was really impactful for you. I know as a speaker myself, when people say, oh my gosh, thank you so much, I really appreciate what you said about X, Y, and Z. I can relate to that so much. And when I go home, this is what I'm going to try out. So thank you so much. Because guess what? The speaker is probably going to say, I know I would. Oh my gosh, thank you so much for sharing that with me. Will you connect with me on Instagram and let me know how it goes? I'd love to support you after the event today. Wouldn't that be great to be connected to the speaker in that way? Yeah, and most of them will have an opportunity to connect. You might have to wait because everybody wants to talk to them, but be patient. Use that time to think about what your biggest takeaway was, or use that time to think of a question that you really want to ask that came up that you didn't have an opportunity to ask. Because guess what? The speakers, even though they might be a little bit ahead of you in whatever area that they were speaking on, wherever their expertise is, we are all the same. We are more the same than different. We still have struggles. We still have challenges. We still have fears that we allow to hold us back sometimes. And making that personal connection, you can really see, like, it does no good to put people up on pedestals. I mean, yeah, as inspiration and motivation, but it shouldn't be like, wow, look what they're doing. It should be like, wow, she's doing it, and now so can I. So connect with the speakers, connect with the other attendees, and connect with yourself. So if you're like, okay, you've sold me, I need to be signing up for some in-person events. A few of the events that I've loved in like my local network. So I'm here in Miami Beach. There's an event called Miami Beach Storytelling. It's monthly, usually close to the last or the third Friday of the month. And it's so great. There's a topic, and the moderator curates people just like you and I to tell a story based on that topic. And everybody shares so courageously and so vulnerably. I love it. That's my favorite local event here. In Colorado Springs, there was an event called Mindful Mornings, and I so love that. I'm not sure the status of that. With the pandemic and everything, Kristen was the amazing human that did those events, and I loved that so much. And in Oregon, there was so many different events to go to. One of the things that's really popular there, if you are a business owner and love this episode and are listening, check out Young Pros through the Chamber. I thought those events were really, really fun. And there's so many like Boss Babe, small meetups that are happening and getting started in lots and lots of local communities. I know I'm speaking at one in Denver let's see, Boss Babes Brunch with Christine. And I will put all of this in the show notes too for you. So, and when am I doing that? In May. So I'm excited for that. And lastly, I'm still, like I said, I'm not just sharing this information with you because it's something I tried once. These are things that work, and I continue to do them consistently because they give proven results in my life for where I want to go and how I want to feel each and every day. So I will be attending the Powerhouse Women event. That's August 26th through 27th in Scottsdale, Arizona. If you are a female entrepreneur, for sure, this is your event. If you're thinking about being a female entrepreneur, this is your event. And then Confidence Activated, October 14th through 16th. That's in Orlando, Florida with Rachel Luna. And if you are looking to connect with other women that are spiritual and that are doing big things, this is the event for you for that one. And of course, like I'm taking this podcast. Remember, I'm bringing this podcast on tour. So if you're like, I can't travel across the country right now, great. Come to my one of my local community meetups where I'm going to be recording a podcast live. You have an opportunity to meet me and other inspiring, influential women and be a part of something big in your community and get that started right there in your neighborhood. We are starting in Oregon, Colorado, and Arizona. And if you would like the podcast tour to come to you, then please email us. Everything's in the show notes. Email Kathy with an I. KATHI@carmenoling.com and let us know where we should stop next. So stop letting fear stop you. I just pulled back the curtain on what to expect and the things that you should do in order to make it the most impactful for you. So thank you so much for listening to the Permission Slip podcast. I'm so blessed to have this microphone, to do this, to share this with you. And I am so grateful for you listening and sharing this episode with those that you love. Okay, see you next week.